and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. You are listening to the Without the Bank podcast, where we talk about all things IBC, business, everything. Today, I want to talk about taking action because it is Wednesday as I'm recording this, and I'm a little bit irritated. I'm not even going to lie about it. And this is why. And so I thought, you know what? We are talking about all things business. We are talking about all things IBC. It is about taking action to be successful. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. There are so many people that are all talk and no action. Oh, I want to do this. I want to start that for a business. Oh, I would love to read your book. Oh, I wish I could do that. Oh my gosh. There's a few things that just really set me off very quickly, obviously. My German passion is on full force on a couple of topics, and this is one of them. Holy cow. Are we going to analyze something to death? Are we going to wish? Are we going to let fear stop us? I truly do not understand that brain that won't let you go to the next step. I try very, very hard to be understanding. But when I see an opportunity, I take it. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, Mary Jo, you're so busy. You really should relax a little bit. Oh, Mary Jo, you're so lucky to be where you're at. It is action. There are people that I talk to that have read my book 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I'm not talking the Life Without the Bank book because that one isn't 7, 8 years old, but my Farming Without the Bank. Same concept, does not matter. They have read it 2, 3 years ago. I talked to a wonderful lady the other day that had read the book, 5, 6 years ago. And it's different if we don't take action because the timing isn't right. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we are coming home from work. We've punched the clock. We come home from work and we sit on the couch and we binge watch Yellowstone or we binge watch some show on Netflix. What an absolute waste of time. No, I have been there. Believe me, I've been there. I binge watched 2 things on Netflix. I don't even remember the names of the show. I binge watched them. And after the second one, I'm like, never again. Never again will I get into a show to the point that it will determine what I do for 24 hours and maybe a week or two. It's on your mind constantly. Could we take that time of everything that's on our mind and make it productive so that we could get out of where we're at? Now, if you are completely happy with where you're at, then just keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to get to the next level and you want to make more money, or you want to be a business owner, or you want to have your bank created and you want to have your life insurance policy, but we don't know how to get there, that means we're going to have to get out of our comfort zone and we're going to have to take action. We may even have to take a little bit of risk. So let's look at the policy first. Now, you've read the book and, oh, I don't know where I'm going to start. Well, why are we not speaking? Why do we not have an appointment set up? Now, if you have an appointment and you can't get in for a little bit, you got to pass. But if you've read the book and you don't have your appointment set up yet because you don't know where to start and you're trying to solve those problems on your own, how are you going to do that? Because you don't know how to solve the problem. That is why I have the consultation. If we don't have the money to get started, why don't we have the money to get started? Do we need to have another job? Do we need to create a business? Do we need to have some side income? If we do, what is stopping us from doing that? Is it because we're scared? Is it because we're lazy? And yeah, I'm probably ticking off a lot of people with that L word, but why are you not doing something? Now, let's look at starting that business. Let's look at these opportunities. You guys, I have fallen in love with the TikTok because there is so much good information on there. It's insane. That is good and that is bad for people like me. It is good because there's lots of opportunity, but it's bad because I want to take every opportunity. I am seeing people that are pressure washing businesses, window washing businesses. They have microgreen businesses, flower farms, all these things that you can do out of your house with minimal cost. But yet we see this and go, oh, I don't think I can do that. What? Like, we just bought a freeze dryer for food. Okay. Not because I'm a prepper, but because I like crunchy fruit. And so we bought this freeze dryer, and I had no idea before I started down the rabbit hole of Facebook groups and TikTok and YouTube. I had no idea the demand for freeze dried food. So then I thought, well, I had a little candy business before I did infinite banking. What in the world is the licensing on that? Because when I had my little candy business 20 years ago, I had to have FDA approval. I had to have it in a specific room of my house, or I had to be in a certified kitchen. It was crazy. Well, now you have cottage food laws or something like that, and you don't have to have any of that kind of stuff. Depending on how you sell it. If you sell it online, then it's going to be a different story. But if you sell it locally, it's much different. And then I thought, oh, well, I really don't like the consumption of time to prep the fruit and the vegetables and the food that go into the freeze dryer is what takes up the majority of your time. And I thought, well, freeze dried food is really, really expensive. So some people are saying, well, you can just rent out your machine. Well, who wants to sit at my house while their food is freeze drying and then come back out? That seems kind of silly. And you can't just lift the machine up and move it because they're heavy and they're huge. And so I thought, you know what? Why would I not say, hey, if you prep all the food, I will put it in the freeze dryer, seal it for you, and return it to you? Because that could be a total business. I don't want to prep the food because that's what takes the longest, and I don't have that kind of time. Taking it out of the freezer, putting it on a tray, throwing it in the freeze dryer, well, that's not so hard. But then you charge for your time for that, right? Any teenager could do that if you had a freeze dryer. Anybody could do that if you had a freeze dryer. The freeze dryers are like $3,000. And then you have other things that go with it. So maybe by the time you're done, you're in $3,500, maybe. Not even, maybe $3,200, $3,300. And you can start making money. It's crazy how many people are doing that. But when I see these opportunities, I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to do that. Oh my gosh, we need to do that. Like this morning, I was listening to a podcast on storage units. And oh, well, are there opportunities in that avenue? Are there opportunities in rental properties? Are there opportunities in if we're going to clean dryer vents? That's another big one on TikTok. There's people that's all they do all day long is clean dryer vents, not clean furnaces out. I've had my furnace and all my ductwork cleaned in our rental property, and then they also offered to clean the dryer vent out, which was absolutely fantastic. Just an added service, right? But that's kind of a bigger thing. You need a big truck and all that kind of stuff, but you don't hardly need anything if you're cleaning out a dryer vent. And these people are super busy doing that because people just don't think about it, but it's a huge fire hazard. The amount of things that we can do, but we don't do them. I want to take advantage of every single opportunity that I see. Microgreens, these people growing microgreens and making money off of microgreens, and all you need is a room in your house and a fan and a dehumidifier and maybe a humidifier and some trays and some soil and some seed. And it's crazy. The setup is not that expensive to get started. Why aren't we getting started? If you're sitting there listening to this podcast and all you ever do is listen to podcasts and say, oh, I wish, oh, someday I'm going to. Someday may be too late because somebody else might come in and take that idea and then they have the market and now you're fighting somebody in the market. When you could have started today, you could have built those relationships. So when the thing catches on, you already have the relationships. And now all you have to do is maintain them, not try to get them away from somebody else that's doing a good job. So why don't we just start right away? Like, that's my thought process. No different than infinite banking. People said, well, why do I need a life insurance policy when interest rates were 2.5% and 3%? I don't need a policy to buy my car. I don't need a policy to buy my house. What do I need that life insurance policy for? And now today they're like, oh, I wish I would have started. Interest rates are 7%. And now the policy is 4 or 5%. So now it would be a much better idea to have a policy, but I didn't get started because I waited too long. Take action. Like, I hate to sound like Nike and say, just do it, but just do it. And I know I'm like all German passion and I sound like a lecture, but this is my like inspirational speech to you guys. Because this is how I think. This is how my brain works. Like, how do you not? Or what is holding you back from taking the steps necessary to do what you are interested in? If it's reading a book, if it's listening to a podcast, if it's starting a business, stop analyzing stuff to death. So many people in my own family, will research to death before they do anything. They will talk about things to death before they do anything. And then they find something else to do in the process. It's about breaking a bad habit so that we can do other things to replace the bad habits. You guys, my husband, he reads, like at night, he reads, but the TV is on. Okay. He's reading stuff. I'm researching stuff, and that TV would never come on in my house. I wouldn't even have a TV. Before I met him, he wouldn't even come to my apartment because I had a TV, but I did not have cable because I wasn't paying for cable. I never even watched TV. I was reading because, that was like before the internet was a big deal and smartphones. So I didn't have cable. Frankly, if he's gone, if he leaves for whatever reason, fishing, whatever, hunting, I do not turn the TV on. It is the most glorious thing ever because I am using TikTok or Facebook or YouTube for research, not for fun. I'm not watching dancing videos on TikTok. If I come across a video on either one of those platforms or information on either one of those platforms, and I don't take it for gospel, I want to research further into that to see if it's true. And I don't need to research forever because the next thing I'm going to do is take action. And that's part of just my personality. But if you don't know where you're at on that front, go take the Colby test, or it's called the Colby score. It's Kolbe. And Colby tells you, do you like to research? Do you like to get things done in order? Do you make decisions fast, or are you good at building things mechanically? Okay. That gives you numbers. And it's not that you're good at those things. It's how much energy do you have for those things? It goes from 1 to 10, and I am an 8 on the quick start. I make decisions very, very quickly. And I have a little research. I can research, but I'm going to research for a certain amount of time, and then I'm going to be tired of it, and then I might come back the next day. Now, it just depends. On work-related stuff, I research less, and I will utilize other people that like to research, but they don't like to take action. So there can be a happy balance there. But if you're the only person driving you and you have nobody else to drive you, then you need to be the driver. You need to recognize the fact that at some point we got to take some action to do something. My husband, his quick start, because it's that row is called quick start. I'm an 8, so I'm super fast, right? That's a great decision. Let's do it. His quick start is a 3. Sometimes I just got to take a deep breath. But guess what? I take the action and then he helps because he would never take the action. So I do it and then he supports me 100%. And he likes to do more of the research, right? So he's like, well, yeah, we should probably think about that. Like, he has saved my butt a couple of times, especially if we're remodeling a rental or something. I'm like, oh, we should do this. And he's like, well, you got to think of like everything, Mary Jo. You can't just do everything instantly. And so it's a great combination, but he is not the risk taker. I'm like, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen if I decide I'm going to go clean vents out? What's the worst that can happen if I start that life insurance policy? Oh, I have money there? Like, that's the worst thing that can happen? You got to just do things. Stop sitting on the couch. Stop wishing and wondering. And start taking some action as soon as the movement begins. You, my friend, will be so thrilled that you did it because you are going to see success. Even if you have a business right now and you are not seeing success, I'm going to ask you to evaluate what you're doing and what type of actions you are taking. Because if you are not taking the correct type of actions, that's not going to lead to success. What are we doing? Are we going to work every day and saying, well, we were at work, but nobody walked in the door or we didn't get any jobs? Were you out talking to people? Were you passing out flyers? Were you online posting? Were you marketing in any way, shape, or form? We don't have a business and they just come in. All right, guys. I've beat that dead horse. Maybe it was my therapy session for the day. But if we do the right things and we do something, something's going to happen. If we do nothing, nothing's going to happen. And I want you all to be uber successful. I want you all to find what you want to do in life and go for it. But we can't do it if we don't have the motivation behind it. As always, if you've not read the book and you've been waiting and listening to the podcast, now is the time to take the action. Go get the book. If you haven't made the appointment, go make the appointment. Worst case scenario, we have a one-on-one meeting and it doesn't work out. It's okay. Guess what? I make lots of friends because not every single person starts in a policy with me. But I'm here to help you where I can. So let me know if there's anything I can do. Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com. You can go to withoutthebank.com to get your books. You can rate the podcast. I would very much appreciate that. The podcast is doing well, but it would even be better if you shared it with friends. So subscribe to the podcast, share it, whatever. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.